Hi, welcome to Old School Blues Guitar, and currently I am in the process of refilming and redoing some of the earliest instructional videos that I did on the basics of electric blues. So if you've used the older videos before, these will be better quality and hopefully be taught better as well. I'm going to start out the first lesson here. If you're just getting started playing electric blues guitar and you want to get started playing some stuff. Now there's a lot of guys that start playing guitar and they learn a little bit of this, a little bit of that, some lead stuff, maybe a cool introduction or something, part of a solo, but they never really learn to play with other musicians, especially in blues. If you're a guitar player, you know, there's a time and a place to play lead, but there's also a time and a place to play behind a harmonica player or another guitar player. So these first few lessons are meant to help you or help give you some ideas for what to play. And we're going to start out with the real basics, what I call the shuffle rhythms. And this first lesson I'm going to show you a bunch of different shuffle rhythms that I know and that I use. And all of these come from the playing of classic blues guitarists from the 50s and the 60s. Jimmy Reed, the songs of Lazy Lester. I've also got some from records by Little Walter, Jimmy Rogers. Got all kinds of cool stuff to show you here. So let's get started. I'm in standard tuning, and the first just basic rhythm, if you're just getting started playing electric blues guitar, you should learn how to play a simple shuffle rhythm in the key of E. So an E chord, first position E chord, you should know this one. It's played right here, and this rhythm part that we're going to play, we're going to put our first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then we're going to hit it, both strings at the same time. And let me just play the simple shuffle rhythm, and I'll show you a bunch of different variations you can add to it. So here's a simple shuffle rhythm in the key of E. That's where we'll stop. So that first part, first finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, and then I'm bouncing my ring finger back and forth from the 4th fret. So it's open, just like that. And when I go to the 4th fret, I'm still hitting the open 6th string. Just like that. So I'm using my first finger and my 3rd finger on the 5th string, 2nd fret to 4th fret, hitting the open 6th string. One of the keys, I think, to playing the shuffle rhythm is using your right hand palm to mute the strings just a little bit so they don't ring out too much. And that makes it easier for you to control the sound. You can mute more or less depending on what kind of shuffle rhythm you're trying to get. If I really mute it, I get something like this. Or if I mute it just a tiny bit, it depends on the kind of sound you're looking for. And if you listen to recordings by Lazy Lester, Jimmy Reed, and others, you'll hear a wide variety a wide variety of tones and sounds with this kind of rhythm. Now when I go to the 4 chord, or the next chord in the progression, in the 3-chord progression, E is our first chord, then we go to A. So when we go to A, I just move my first finger over to the 4th string. And now I hit the open 5th string with the 4th string. And then I still do the same thing with my ring finger. This time going to the 4th fret of the 4th string. This is over the 4. Then we go back to the 1. Now when you get over the 5, you're playing in B. I played it like this. And what I'm doing there is putting my first finger now on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and I'm still hitting the open A. And you think that wouldn't work because you would want a B if you're in B or playing over the B. But if you listen to Jimmy Reed's recordings, this is one of the little secrets of his playing. When he gets over the 5, some guys will play it in a B shape, like over the bar chord, like this. But I'm playing it like this. You get kind of that odd sound. I'm just doing the same thing. First finger is on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and my ring finger this time is going to the 6th fret of the 4th string, playing the open 5th string, or the open A. And that little turnaround, I just do a walking bass, open 5th string, 1st, 2nd on the 5th string, and I'm walking into a B7th chord. If you don't know the B7th chord, check out my video on chords, or just look it up. We're going to focus on the shuffle rhythms here. So basically, your shuffle rhythm with a 3-chord progression in E, that's one of the simplest things you can get started learning, and it's really cool. And you can play it, and you can play it behind another musician, have another guitar player play over it, or a harmonica player, and that's really something you can build a lot of songs with. So when I go over the 5, if you want to do the other way of doing it, you can go here. This is a 1st position B bar chord, and I've got my 1st finger on the 7th fret, getting the 6th and 5th strings, and then I've got my ring finger on the 9th fret of the 5th string. So I've got that power chord sound, and then I'm going to put my pinky on the 11th fret of the 5th string. And I'm getting the 6th and the 5th strings, just like I was doing before. And you could walk that to the A shape instead of playing here. And then back to the 1. So let's do it from the 5. 4. Back into the next verse. When I do that the B7th chord, I'll go ahead and show it to you here, just in case you don't know it. Got my 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 5th string, that's a B. Got my 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 4th string, and then I'm putting my ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and my pinky on the 2nd fret of the 1st string. So I walk into it that. Or if I'm doing it as a turnaround like I just did. Back into the shuffle. So that is what I call the basic shuffle rhythm, probably the easiest one to learn and play if you're just getting started. Now you can add things to that and make it a little more complicated and vary it up a little bit so it's not the same thing every time. One of the easiest ways to do it, and you hear this in songs, a lot of Jimmy Reed songs. There's a guy named, who was it? Jerry McCain, who did a song called She's Tough. And a lot of Lazy Lester stuff. Slim Harpo did some shuffle rhythms too, where they take that basic rhythm, and then now we're going to slide our ring finger from the 4th fret to the 5th fret and back to the 4th. All the while picking the 6th and the 5th string. So when we're over the 1, the E, it sounds like this. Move it to the 4. Turnaround. I'm just going to use that staple or standard turnaround. Keep it simple. Later I'll have a video on turnarounds, and I've already got some listed. So what we're doing is sliding that ring finger 5th, 4th, and back, and then when we go to the 4, move everything over a string. And then when we go to the 5, again, there's a lot of different things you can do here. What I did was this. So I'm doing this. Remember last time in the simple shuffle rhythm I went like this. This time I'm going, and I'm taking my second finger and my ring finger and going to the 5th and then the 6th fret of the 5th string while I pick that, picking both the 5th and the 4th string. Then we're back to our basic lick. So the whole thing. To the 4. Now you could do something like this. I just don't hear too many guys do that. Maybe I'm missing it. Usually if they're going to play the B here, they're going to do something like that. Or they could do this, where they just get the 1 string. I heard Jimmy Vaughn, if you ever hear him with the Fabulous Thunderbirds, he does a lot of stuff like this. Anson Funderburg is another current guitar player who does that a lot when he's going over the 5 on one of these shuffles. So what I'm doing is getting the 7th fret of the 4th string, like that. And then back into the shuffle. So those 2 rhythms are really simple, and you can play those in the E position. Also, if you're playing in the key of A, you can just move those around a little bit, and let's do that. So if we're playing in A, and the A is our 1, we just start from the A position. Let's do the simple rhythm first. Just move it over 1 to get the D. So I just put my first finger now on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and I'm hitting the open 4th string. Back to the 1. Now when you get to the 5, there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can go to the low E strings, like this, which is our 1 from when we were playing in E. Turnaround there in a minute. Or instead of the low E, we could do a high E, so like this. So what I'm doing there is just putting my first finger on the 4th fret of the 4th string with the open 3rd string, with the open 4th string, and I'm doing that walk from the 5th to the 6th, this time on the 4th string. You can do that on the 4 as well, so like this. That's one of the variations which we're going to talk about. We could also do that single string, that 1 note thing like we did on the B before, like this. This time I'm going to the 7th fret of the 3rd string. Is an E7 or an E. So I'm making an E7th chord and I'm walking into it on the 4th string. Open, 1, 2, just like we did into the B7th. Now we're going to an E7th. And then back to the 1, which is the A. And just like the other rhythm, we can slide it up. So forth. So there we have ways to play a basic shuffle in the key of E and also in the key of A. Now if you add a capo, if you put a capo over the 1st fret, then you can just play this stuff exactly the same and in the key of F for the first progressions. So we put a capo there now right here. That's in the key of F. If you listen to Lazy Lester's early recordings on Excello, you hear a lot of his shuffles are in F. And he's probably got a capo right here. And then we play here, which is in B flat, right? So we can also play our progression in A, but just now move it to B flat. And you can move the capo up a few places and play these shuffles almost anywhere you want to on the neck. So those are what I call the basic shuffle rhythms. So just to review real quick, in the key of E, the most simple shuffle rhythm, just going back and forth between the 2nd and the 4th frets. And then we've got the slide, by sliding the ring finger. And then when we come around on the turnaround, we've got a couple different things we can do, going from the 5 to the 4 to the 1, which I showed you. And then also, what was the other thing? On the 5, we've got this little one note thing. And you can do that on the 4 too. All kinds of stuff. So there is the basic shuffle rhythm. Now in the next part of this lesson, which is coming up here in just a second, we are going to look at some variations on that rhythm and some ways you can mix it up and make it sound different. And if you like these lessons, let me know. I'm hoping this is better than the original video I did. Better lighting, better camera, and hopefully better teaching.